Right now, while you're watching this, a catastrophic winter storm is heading straight for the southern United States. And what makes this different from every other storm warning you've heard? This one could shut down entire cities for a week, not a day, not 2 days. A full week without power, without heat, in some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in a decade. Here's what nobody's telling you yet. Over 100 million Americans are about to face the most dangerous combination of weather conditions we've seen in the last 10 years. Heavy snow, crippling ice, and temperatures so cold that even if you wanted to leave your house, you probably shouldn't. But here's the critical part, and this is why you need to listen to every word of this forecast. You have less than 72 hours to prepare. Let me paint you a picture of what's coming. Imagine waking up Saturday morning. You look outside and your entire street is coated in ½ an inch of solid ice. Not snow. Ice. Your trees are bending under the weight. Power lines are snapping like twigs. And the temperature? It's hovering right at 0 degrees with wind chill. No power means no heat. No heat in 0-degree weather means you're in serious danger. But wait, because it gets worse. And I promise you, by the 30-second mark of this forecast, you'll understand exactly why weather experts are calling this a generational winter storm. This storm is going to move so slowly that some areas will see continuous snow and ice falling for 48 straight hours. When was the last time you saw snow falling for 2 full days without stopping? Most of you never have. Oklahoma City could see 12 inches of snow. Dallas could see over 1 inch of freezing rain. Let that sink in. 1 full inch of ice coating everything. Your car, your driveway, your roof, power lines. Now, here's your first reward for staying with me. I'm going to tell you exactly which cities are in the worst danger zone and exactly when the storm will hit your area. But first, you need to understand the 3 phases of this monster storm because each phase brings its own unique dangers. Phase 1 begins Friday morning at noon. That's when Arctic air from Canada collides with moisture from the Gulf of Mexico right over Texas and Oklahoma. It's like mixing fire and ice. The result? An explosive winter storm that meteorologists are comparing to the worst storms we've seen in 15 years. Phase 2 hits Friday night into Saturday morning. This is when the storm expands rapidly across the central and southern plains. We're talking about heavy snow from Kansas down to Memphis and Nashville. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming until 48 hours ago. The storm is going to stall. It's going to slow down right over the most populated areas. Why does that matter? Because the longer it sits there, the more snow and ice accumulate. We're not talking about a few inches anymore. We're talking about potentially record-breaking amounts. Phase 3 happens Saturday night through Sunday. This is when the ice becomes the main threat. From Dallas all the way to Atlanta, we're looking at the potential for catastrophic ice accumulation. And when I say catastrophic, I don't use that word lightly. We're talking about ice so thick it can snap power lines, bring down trees, and leave entire neighborhoods in the dark for days. You're probably wondering, how bad can ice really be? Let me tell you something that might shock you. Just ½ an inch of ice accumulation can bring down power lines. We're forecasting potentially more than an inch in some areas. That's double what it takes to cause widespread, long-lasting power outages. Here's a number that should grab your attention. 60 below zero. That's the wind chill temperature expected in parts of the northern plains, Friday and Saturday morning. 60 degrees below zero. At that temperature, exposed skin can freeze in less than 5 minutes, and that Arctic air, it's heading south fast. Now I'm going to give you something valuable, the exact timeline for your specific area. If you're in Oklahoma or Texas, your storm begins Friday at noon. You'll see snow and freezing rain starting to fall right in the middle of the workday. Schools will likely close early. Highways will become dangerous fast. If you're in Arkansas or Tennessee, your storm begins Friday night into Saturday morning. By 6 a.m. Saturday, you'll wake up to snow already on the ground and more falling heavily. If you're in Alabama or Georgia, your storm begins Saturday afternoon. But here's what makes your situation particularly dangerous. You're going to get mostly ice, not snow, and ice is far more destructive than snow. If you're on the East Coast, from the Carolinas up through Virginia and Maryland, your storm begins Saturday night and could last through Monday. Some computer models are showing over 2 feet of snow in parts of Virginia. 2 feet. That's almost unheard of for that region. But here's the question everyone's asking. How do we know this storm is really going to be as bad as predicted? Great question. And here's why meteorologists are so confident about this one. We're not relying on just one computer model. We're looking at multiple models: the European model, the American GFS model, and the National Weather Service blend. And here's what's remarkable. They all agree. When different weather models all show the same dangerous scenario, that's when you know to take it seriously. The European model is showing the most aggressive scenario: heavy snow from Oklahoma through Tennessee, crippling ice from Texas to Georgia, and it's showing this storm lasting longer than any other model. The GFS model shows a very similar pattern, but with the ice zone shifted slightly south. Even their more conservative estimate still shows a major, dangerous winter storm. And the National Weather Service blend? It's showing some areas could see localized amounts near 2 feet of snow in the south, where most people don't even own snow shovels. Now, let me give you some perspective on why this particular storm setup is so dangerous. It all comes down to temperature layers in the atmosphere. When you have warm air sandwiched between 2 layers of cold air, you get freezing rain. And that's exactly what's setting up over Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and parts of the southeast. Freezing rain is different from sleet. Sleet is those little ice pellets that bounce off your windshield. Annoying but manageable. Freezing rain is liquid when it falls, but it freezes on contact with anything it touches. Roads, trees, power lines, cars. Everything gets coated in a thick layer of ice. And here's something most people don't realize. Ice weighs a lot more than you think. A single pine tree coated in just half an inch of ice can be carrying an extra 500 pounds of weight. Imagine your trees, your power lines, everything around you suddenly carrying hundreds of extra pounds. Something's going to break. I want to show you what we're expecting for snowfall totals. Oklahoma City is looking at 8 to 12 inches of snow. Little Rock could see anywhere from 6 to 14 inches, depending on how much of the precipitation falls as ice versus snow. Nashville is in line for 8 to 12 inches. Memphis, similar numbers. And these are cities that don't have the infrastructure to handle this kind of snow. But the snow isn't even the main concern. Let me show you the ice accumulation forecast, and this is where things get really serious. Dallas-Fort Worth is looking at 1 to 1.5 inches of ice accumulation. Think about that. Over an inch of solid ice coating everything. Shreveport, Louisiana, similar amounts. Monroe, Louisiana, you're in the same boat. This entire corridor along Interstate 10 from Texas through Louisiana could see crippling ice. Northern Alabama, around Huntsville, you're looking at half an inch to potentially over an inch of ice. Atlanta metro area, you could see half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. That's enough to cause major, widespread power outages that could last for days. Now, here's what I promised you earlier. At the 5-minute mark, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do right now to prepare. But first, you need to understand what makes this storm different from the winter storms you're used to. Most winter storms move through pretty quickly. You get snow for 6 to 12 hours, then it's over, and the cleanup begins. This storm is different. This storm is going to park itself over the southern United States and just sit there, dumping snow and ice for up to 48 hours straight in some locations. Why is it moving so slowly? It has to do with the jet stream pattern. There's a blocking pattern setting up that's going to trap this storm in place. It's like traffic on a highway coming to a complete stop. The storm wants to move east, but there's nowhere for width to go. So it just sits there and keeps producing precipitation. Here's another number for you: 80 to 100 hours. That's how long temperatures will stay below freezing from Texas through Georgia starting Saturday. Think about what that means. Any ice that accumulates on Saturday will still be there Monday, possibly even Tuesday, because temperatures won't get warm enough to melt it. And remember that Arctic air I mentioned earlier? By Sunday morning, wind chills in parts of North Texas will be right around 0 degrees. 0. Combined with no power from ice damage, this becomes a legitimate life-threatening situation. Now, I know some of you are thinking this sounds like fear-mongering. It's not. Here's why weather experts are taking this so seriously. We have historical precedent for storms like this, and they cause catastrophic damage every single time. Remember the ice storm that hit Texas in 2021? That was just 3 days of freezing weather, and it knocked out power for millions of people. Some areas were without power for over a week, and that was with less ice than we're forecasting for this storm. The difference this time? This storm is going to impact a much larger area. We're not just talking about Texas. We're talking about a zone stretching from New Mexico all the way to the mid-Atlantic, over 1,000 miles of winter weather impacts. Let me give you the breakdown by region, because the dangers are different depending on where you live. If you're in the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma, or Kansas, you're looking at primarily heavy snow. 8 to 16 inches is possible. Blizzard conditions with strong winds creating snowdrifts, travel will be impossible. Not just difficult, impossible. If you're in North Texas, Southern Oklahoma, Arkansas, or Northern Louisiana, you're in the ice zone. This is where the most destructive impacts will occur. Power outages could last a week or more. Trees will come down. Roads will be impassable. This is the area where you need to be most prepared. If you're in Tennessee, Kentucky, or Missouri, you're getting a mix of both. Heavy snow in some areas, significant ice in others. Major cities like Nashville and Memphis are right in the crosshairs for both. If you're in Alabama, Mississippi, or northern Georgia, you're looking at primarily ice with some snow mixing in. Atlanta is particularly vulnerable because the city shuts down with just a little bit of winter weather. Imagine what over half an inch of ice will do. And if you're on the East Coast, from the Carolinas through Virginia and up to Maryland, you could see heavy snow. The models are showing some areas potentially getting over a foot. That would be crippling for cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, and potentially even the D.C. area. Now here's what you've been waiting for. What do you need to do right now to prepare? I'm going to give you a step-by-step preparation plan that could literally save your life. Step 1. Stock up on water, not just a couple of bottles. If power goes out and your water system relies on electricity, you could be without running water. Fill up bathtubs, fill up pitchers, fill up anything that can hold water. You need at least 1 gallon per person per day for drinking and more for washing and sanitation. Step 2. Get your medications now. If you take daily medications, make sure you have enough to last at least a week. If you're cutting it close on refills, get to the pharmacy today or tomorrow. Don't wait. Step 3. Stock up on non-perishable food. Things you can eat without cooking if necessary. Peanut butter, crackers, canned goods, protein bars, dried fruit. If the power goes out, your refrigerator becomes useless after about 4 hours. Step 4. Charge everything. Your phone, your laptop, your tablets, any portable battery packs you have. Charge them all fully and keep them charged. Your phone could be your lifeline if you need to call for help. Step 5. Get cash. If power goes out, ATMs won't work. Credit card readers won't work. Have actual cash on hand just in case. Step 6. Fill up your gas tank. Do it today. Don't wait. Gas stations can't pump gas without electricity. And if you need to evacuate or drive somewhere for help, you don't want to be running on fumes. Step 7. Generator safety. If you have a generator, test it now. Make sure you have fuel. And this is critical. Never run a generator indoors or in your garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every single winter storm. Keep it outside, at least 20 feet from your house. Step 8. Prepare for cold. If power goes out, how will you stay warm? Extra blankets, sleeping bags, warm clothes. Layer up. If you have a fireplace, stock up on firewood. If you have a propane heater, make sure you have fuel and use it safely with proper ventilation. Step 9. Protect your pipes. When temperatures drop below freezing for extended periods, pipes can freeze and burst. Let your faucets drip slightly. Moving water is less likely to freeze. Open cabinet doors under sinks to let warm air circulate around pipes. Step 10. Plan for isolation. Assume you won't be able to leave your house for several days. Do you have everything you need? Food, water, medications, pet food if you have animals, baby supplies if you have small children. Make your list now. Here's something most people don't think about. What about your neighbors? Do you have elderly neighbors who might need help? Neighbors with small children? Neighbors with medical conditions? Check on them. Make sure they're prepared. In severe winter storms, community support can be the difference between life and death. Now, let me tell you about the timing again because this is crucial for your preparation window. We are currently Wednesday. The storm begins Friday, That means you have tomorrow, Thursday, to finish all your preparations. After Thursday, it may already be too late to safely get what you need. Friday morning, if you're in Oklahoma or Texas, you need to be home and settled in. Don't plan on going anywhere. Take the day off work if you can. Keep kids home from school. This is not the day to be on the roads. Saturday is when the storm reaches its peak intensity. This is when the heaviest snow and worst ice will be falling. Conditions will deteriorate rapidly Saturday morning and stay dangerous through Sunday. Sunday, the storm begins to taper off in some areas but expands to the East Coast. If you're in the Carolinas or Virginia, Sunday is your worst day. Monday, the storm finally moves offshore. But the impacts continue. Power outages, impassable roads, dangerous cold. Just because the snow stops falling doesn't mean it's safe. Here's a question I keep seeing. What if the forecast changes? What if it's not as bad as predicted? Great question. And here's my answer. I would much rather you over-prepare and the storm underperforms than the other way around. The cost of being prepared is minimal compared to the cost of being caught unprepared in a life-threatening situation. But here's what you need to understand. The confidence in this forecast is high, very high. We're not talking about a storm that might develop. We're talking about a storm that is definitely going to happen. The only questions left are exactly how much snow versus ice different areas will get and exactly where the worst impacts will be. Even in the most conservative model scenarios, this is still a major, dangerous winter storm. The difference between the models is whether we're talking about a very bad storm or a historic, catastrophic storm. Let me give you some more context on the ice situation, because I don't think I can stress enough how dangerous this is. When you get over a quarter inch of ice accumulation, power outages become likely. Over half an inch, power outages become widespread and long-lasting. Over 1 inch. You're talking about catastrophic damage to infrastructure. We're forecasting over half an inch across a huge area and over 1 inch in some of the most populated parts of Texas and Louisiana. This has the potential to be one of the most destructive ice storms in modern history for those areas. And here's something that should concern everyone. The power companies know this storm is coming. They're pre-positioning crews. They're bringing in help from other states. They're getting ready. You know what that tells you? They're expecting massive, widespread damage that's going to take days or weeks to repair. Now, let's talk about the cold, because that's a major part of this story that often gets overlooked. When we say Arctic air, we mean air that originated over the Arctic Circle. This is the same air mass that keeps the North Pole frozen, and it's diving all the way south to the Gulf of Mexico. Parts of Montana and North Dakota could see actual air temperatures of 30 degrees below zero Friday morning. With wind chill, we're talking about 60 below zero. Frostbite happens in minutes at those temperatures. By Saturday, that Arctic air reaches Texas and Oklahoma. Actual temperatures in the teens and 20s with wind chills near zero. By Sunday and Monday, even the Gulf Coast could see temperatures dip below freezing. And remember, this cold air is going to stick around. This isn't a one-day cold snap. We're talking about nearly a week of below freezing temperatures across the entire South and Southeast. That's unprecedented for this time of year in modern records. Here's what that means practically. Any snow that falls stays on the ground. Any ice that accumulates doesn't melt. Roads don't clear. The cleanup and recovery process takes much longer because nothing is melting naturally. Now, I want to address something important. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. There's a big difference. Fear without action is useless, but awareness plus preparation can save lives. The reality is that winter storms kill people every year. People die from car accidents on icy roads. People die from carbon monoxide poisoning using generators or heaters improperly. People die from hypothermia when they lose power and heat. Elderly people and those with medical conditions are particularly vulnerable. But you know what? Those deaths are largely preventable. With proper preparation and smart decisions, you can get through this storm safely. Here are the smart decisions you need to make. Number 1, stay home. If you don't absolutely have to go out, don't. The most dangerous thing you can do during a winter storm is get in your car and drive. Number 2, if you do lose power, know when to leave. If your house drops below 50 degrees and you can't get it warmed up, it's time to go somewhere else. A friend's house with power, a warming shelter, a hotel that still has power. Don't wait until you're dangerously cold. Number 3, check on people. Call your family. Call your friends. Call your neighbors. Make sure everyone is okay. Make sure everyone has what they need. Number 4, listen to local authorities. If they say evacuate, evacuate. If they say stay home, stay home. They have more information than you do about what's safe. Now, let's talk about what happens after the storm. This is important because the danger doesn't end when the snow stops falling. First, power restoration takes time. We're potentially looking at hundreds of thousands or even millions of people without power across multiple states. Power companies will prioritize hospitals, emergency services, and then work outward from there. If you're in a rural area, you might be without power longer than people in cities. Second, road clearing takes time. Southern states don't have fleets of snowplows like northern states do. A city like Atlanta might have a dozen snowplows for the entire metro area. They'll focus on major highways first, then main roads, then side streets. Your residential street might not get plowed for days. Third, tree damage cleanup takes time. When ice brings down trees, it's not just inconvenient. Those trees block roads. They damage houses. They take down more power lines. Cleaning that up safely is a slow process. Fourth, water system issues. If temperatures stay below freezing for days, water mains can freeze and burst. Water treatment plants can have issues. You might have water service interruptions even after power is restored. I want to give you one more critical piece of information. Cell phone service. When power goes out, cell phone towers have backup batteries that last about 8 to 12 hours. After that, if the power isn't back on, cell service can go out too. That's why I stress charging everything and having a battery pack. If you lose cell service, your landline becomes important if you still have one. If you don't have a landline, that's why checking on neighbors in person becomes critical. That's why knowing where the nearest warming shelter is becomes important. Here's what the next 72 hours look like. Today, Wednesday, you're getting this information. Use tonight to make your lists and plan your preparations. Tomorrow, Thursday, execute your plan. Get everything you need. Friday morning, if you're in the impact zone, you should already be home and ready. Friday afternoon through Sunday, the storm. Stay inside, stay safe, stay warm. Monday, assessment and recovery begins. Now, I promised you something earlier. I said I'd tell you about the different scenarios that are still on the table. Here's what we're watching. Best case scenario. The storm stays a bit further north than currently predicted. Areas like Houston and New Orleans get missed entirely. The ice zone is narrower, power outages are more limited. This is still a major storm, but the catastrophic impacts are avoided in the most populated areas. Most likely scenario? What I've been describing? Major snow from Oklahoma through Tennessee, crippling ice from Texas through Georgia, widespread power outages lasting several days, major travel disruptions lasting a week. This is what most models are showing. Worst case scenario. The storm stalls even more than predicted. Some areas see 48 hours of continuous heavy snow and ice. Ice accumulations exceed 1.5 inches in major cities. Power outages last 2 weeks. This is the European model's most aggressive scenario. We're going to know which scenario is unfolding by Thursday night. That's when the storm system starts to organize and we can see the actual atmospheric setup, not just the computer predictions. But here's the key. Even in the best case scenario, this is still a dangerous, impactful winter storm. So, your preparation level should not change based on which scenario looks most likely. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Let me give you one more thing. Resources. Where do you get information as this storm unfolds? Your local news stations will have continuous coverage. The National Weather Service website has detailed forecasts for your specific area. Weather apps on your phone can send you alerts. Make sure those alerts are turned on. And look, I know this is a lot of information. I know it's overwhelming, but that's exactly why I wanted to give you this comprehensive breakdown. Knowledge is power. Understanding what's coming and why it's dangerous allows you to make smart decisions to protect yourself and your family. Here's my final message to you. Take this seriously, not in a panicked way, in a prepared, measured, responsible way. The difference between someone who gets through this storm just fine and someone who ends up in serious trouble often comes down to one thing: preparation. You have time right now to prepare. Use it wisely. And then once the storm hits, hunker down. Stay inside. Stay warm. Stay safe. This storm will pass. It might take longer than we're used to, but it will pass. And if you're prepared, you'll get through it just fine. One more thing. Share this information. Send it to your family. Send it to your friends. Send it to your coworkers. The more people who are prepared, the safer everyone will be. Communities that prepare together get through disasters together. Stay tuned for updates over the next few days. The forecast will continue to be refined as we get closer to the event. Things may shift slightly north or south. Timing might adjust by a few hours, but the overall pattern is set. A major, dangerous winter storm is coming to the southern United States starting Friday, and everyone in the impact zone needs to be ready. This is not the time to wait and see. This is not the time to hope it won't be that bad. This is the time to act. Get your supplies today or tomorrow. Make your plans. Check on your people. And then when Friday arrives, be ready to ride out what could be the biggest winter storm the South has seen in a decade. Remember, we're going to get through this together, but we have to be smart about it. We have to be prepared, and we have to take care of each other. That's how communities survive major weather events. The storm is coming. Are you ready?